7 Action News starts right now.
A region rocked by scandal.
Mistakes have consequences.
Your tax dollars detoured.
Everything I've received, I've earned.
Wayne County under federal investigation.
Do any county contractors contribute to this fund?
I have no idea.
And Metro Detroit under a cloud of controversy. We're fed up with this corruption. 7 Action News broke this story. Tonight, we go one-on-one with the man at the top, Robert Ficano.
And good evening. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of 7 Action News at 7.
Tonight, we're joined by Wayne County Executive Robert Ficano to answer your questions.
We put out the call also to receive dozens of responses from our viewers, and it turns out a lot of you have the same questions that we have. So we're going to start asking those.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get started right now. First, is the investigation into Tura Mullen's severance all over at this point? Is it complete?
Well, at this point, obviously what happened is I was in Asia at the time that I found out about the severance. I think at that point, I believe there was a contractual obligation. I'd gotten calls from Asia at that point, and I think within a day and a half, realizing that there were mistakes that were made, talked to her from China and said that she'd give them the money back, and she has given the money back.
So the question everybody wants to know, though, is, as you say, mistakes were made, but who made the mistakes? And there was a signed letter, signed by you, I think it was September 2nd, that was signed by you authorizing this payment.
Look, very simply what happened is that before she came into that position, there was a person that was the economic development director. He at that point had a contract, and he had certain obligations that were in it. When Tura was hired, I told her, you have the same contract as he does. Now, did they draft the contract? Did they go through and execute the way they should have? No, it wasn't. But when I was in China, I thought there was a legitimate contract that was there, and that part of Mr. Baru, who was there before her, had gotten a $200,000 severance. So at that point, I thought that it was consistent with what his contract was at the time. When I found out that they hadn't actually executed the contract, called her up, and she gave the money back.
Now, so many people, of course, in Wayne County think a $200,000 severance is outrageous, but originally you defended it, and then you backtracked a little bit and said it was a mistake. Why all of a sudden was it such a mistake?
Well, no, like I just said, when I originally heard that, you know, she was going to be getting the payment, or she had received the payment, I thought that there was a contractual obligation. Just like I said, at the point from Asia, when I found out that they didn't execute the contract, I called her up. Within a day and a half, she committed, and she was going to pay the money back, and she has paid the money back.
Contractually, I understand that, but you know, when people in Wayne County say, you know, we're struggling here, the economy is struggling, people can't even pay their mortgages, and yet this woman is getting this money. At any point, did you think about it and kind of say, you know, this probably wasn't a good idea, and that's why it was a mistake?
Well, let's look at all the things that we have done to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars are really looked at. For example, when I first came into office, we cut all the at-will employees' salaries by 14%. I have reduced down the number of people that work for Wayne County from 5,400 in the past 8 years to 3,500. For the past 3 years, everybody, including myself, has had a 10% pay cut that we've executed. We've gone after the bonus checks that used to be distributed upon retirement, and instead just kept it a 12-month payment. We have instituted a lot of things to reduce down and to make sure that people, tax dollars are being guarded very well. And we're going to continue to do that.
Well, one thing we need to get back to this letter that authorized the $200,000. You believe it to be an agreement that you had with Ms. Mullen. I guess the fear of other people are that there are other contracts out there that may have this same kind of time bomb ticking. Are you sure of that?
Yes.
There's not a single contract.
It's a unique situation. Let's face it, economic development directors, the big thing everybody wants is jobs. They want people to come in with jobs. So what you do is, first of all, look at a comparison. What do all the other economic development directors get? I believe if you look at Detroit, their payment is what $350,000 a year that their economic development director gets. The state of Michigan, I think, is close to $300,000. Saginaw's $450,000. So to you and I, yes, that's a lot of money, and to everybody else, it's a lot of money. Is it what the market generally dictates as to what happens? So, you know, just like in your own field, your own contracts are much higher than what, you know, people usually get that watch your TV show as well. So it's usually what the market dictates that does it. But in this case, there was a mistake because there should have been a contract executed. It wasn't executed, and so at that point...
And who made that mistake, I guess, is the question we're trying to find out.
I held people accountable. I went in, I found out where the mistakes were made. So at that point, I issued a 30-day suspension for both my deputy at that time and corporation counsel.
Let's talk about that for a second, because Azam Elder spoke out publicly tonight for the very first time, and he simply said, I was the quarterback. He followed your orders. He said he had nothing to do with that letter and that you signed it and that letter came about under your orders. He also said it wasn't up to him to not put a date on that letter. A lot of controversy surrounds that specific letter. Who put that letter together?
That's all part of the investigation. The facts will speak for themselves. There's been a subpoena on it, and I'm very confident when the facts come out. I have a very clear conscience, and I know what happened.
Well, you said the investigation was over, but your investigation's over.
Our review of what happened, because that's why I suspended, the person that was corporation counsel and my deputy for the 30 days. The mistakes were made. We admitted it. The money's back. Now,
do you personally look carefully at everything that you sign? Because at one point you said, I may have signed it. I signed a lot of things. You really didn't know how that letter came about, but your name went on it. Someone put that letter together. I know you're saying the FBI is investigating and everything will come out, but you've also said the buck stops with you.
Sure. I take responsibility. If that mistake was made, like Truman said, the buck stops at my desk, and that's true. And at this point, what a leader does is you look at the mistakes, you correct them, and you move on. And so that's what I've done in this particular case.
Let's talk about Tura Mullen. You were obviously a big fan of hers for a great amount of time, and then suddenly, about a week or two ago when this thing got really hot, you just suddenly, it was a vote of no confidence. You said, I can't move forward with her. She's a distraction.
No. She's working for the airport. She no longer works for Wayne County. The airport independently has hired her. And in this case, it became a distraction. I mean, every day, your cameras are out there at the airport, running a story every day and things like that, which, you have a legitimate right to do. And if it becomes a distraction, then things can't move on. What I am concerned about, though, is, for example, stories that started to emerge out that I guess took a life on their own. For example, and I guess one of the issues here, even when she was interviewed, is like, was there $5.4 billion in economic activity that was actually done in Wayne County? Oddly enough, the state, MEDC, put out a figure that there was $6.3 billion of economic activity. And one of the concerns was, well, were things being inflated? Well, I just happened to we went in and we actually pulled all the companies that have done business in Wayne County, and we have them, and it comes to $5.4 billion that is part of it. And I have the document right here. Be glad to give it to you. And it shows all of the economic activity that was here.
We understand, and she did sit here and say she worked really hard for her position, but did any other appointees get golden parachutes like hers? You know what I mean? Did anyone else get a big severance deal or
her contract was unique?
Pension? Her contract was unique.
The two largest payments usually in government are the medical examiner and usually economic development people. And I just gave you the range of what the normal market is. Now, should she have gotten that severance? No, because that contract wasn't executed.
And the bottom line is you didn't authorize that type of package for anyone else, any other appointees?
No, nobody's gotten anything like that in a severance.
Okay, I want to get to the subject of the buck stops here, because I think one of the biggest things I've been seeing from our viewers and people writing in and so forth keep saying, well, if the buck stops here, you keep firing people and suspending people, et cetera, replacing people. When do you start turning the attention to yourself?
I already have. I went in, took a look. We have a new team that's in there. Jeffrey Collins, I believe he was on his show last night, former U.S. attorney. We do have an economic development director, Ray Byers, that is very good, 30 years with experience with Ford Motor Company. And at this point, what I'm going to do is earn the trust back of the people every single day. And I know that we're going to do things, and people are going to be very proud of Wayne County. We are already a leader in the economic development of what's happening in this area. What I'm concerned about, and what I don't want to happen, is that businesses that are looking to invest in this area see these type of situations, and they say, well, should I invest or not? So what we're doing is showing that there is legitimate investment that's happening. There are jobs that are happening. The Aerotropolis, for example, you have at this point GE, 1,400 engineers coming in. Trinity Health just moved into Livonia, 1,400 jobs that are coming in. And we see a number of things. Ford Motor Company and the different shifts that they're putting on. They're putting on, I believe, 2 more shifts down at Flat Rock, and there's going to be another one at Wayne Assembly. Our job is to make sure that there's economic activity, and that's what I'm going to drive to do, and that's what I'm going to make sure that happens in the future.
Mr. Ficano, really quickly before we go to break, to Stephen's point, we understand that you're moving forward and you want to regain the trust of the people of Wayne County. However, can you tell us specifically why did CEO Azam Elder resign, and why did the director of your corporation counsel, Mary Ann Talon, why was she offered a demotion? What did they do specifically?
What did they do wrong?
This has become a distraction. Either we move forward, or we talk about this all the time and continuously talk about it. To me and Mr. Elder, this should not at all go against his integrity or anything like this, but everybody recognizes is that if it becomes too big a distraction, then you can't move government forward. And so that's what we're doing. We want to move forward.
Have you become a distraction?
Not at all.
Okay. We'll be back with more from Robert Ficano next. We're going to talk about accountability and why the commission is sending us subpoenas instead of asking Mr. Ficano for the answers.
We'll be back.